is DreamCon for the girls, for the gays, for the theys. What was DreamCon like for me as a Black queer creator? Let's talk about it. If you're considering going to DreamCon in the future and you want to kind of know what the Black queer experience is like, this I hope will help you decide whether or not you want to go. So DreamCon is an event that brings together Black creatives, gamers, and fans. The website describes DreamCon as a premier entertainment convention founded by RDC World that unites gaming, anime, sports, film, music, and pop culture fans. And the goal is to facilitate inclusivity and a sense of belonging. And that's what I want to talk about today. Did DreamCon deliver on creating a sense of inclusivity and belonging for me as a Black queer woman? To get this out of the way, The Sims did sponsor my trip to DreamCon. Hey now, this is what dreams are made of. Yes, so DreamCon was my first con ever. I hadn't been to a con before. So in my review, as I'm talking about DreamCon, I might be like talking about things that are typical of cons. I ain't never been to one. Give me a break. Now, let's talk about the queerness of it all. I am somebody who doesn't necessarily read as queer on first view. Feel free to disagree with me in the comments, okay? But so I think that really does inform how I'm navigating through DreamCon. So much so that I do feel like there were times where I was talking to guys and I think that they were like, I was catching a vibe. I'm like, ooh, are they catching something here? Because I'm just kind of friendly. I am not into you. And I don't know. I don't know if they were trying to flirt with me. I don't know if whatever. I remember at one point this guy was like, oh, are you going to be at the after party? Okay, see you later. And I kind of was like, oh. I was just talking to you. Oh yeah, because one of the panels that I was trying to go to was your first time at DreamCon on the first day I was there on Friday. It started like 20 minutes late. So I left early. I don't know if that panel ever even started. And then another time somebody was talking to me and I couldn't tell if he was trying to hit on me or not either. I've just always been so weird about that because I'm like, I don't really need men to be talking to me at all. And in fact, that was what was interesting about DreamCon is because it's supposed to be a place that fosters inclusivity and a sense of belonging, especially for Black folks. Except the idea that when I am living my day-to-day, I go out of my way not to be in places that is gonna be a crowd of predominantly straight folks, and especially men. I avoid cis men like the plague. If I'm gonna go to a bar, I like going to a queer bar, preferably a lesbian bar. If I'm gonna go to a party, I'm gonna go to a sapphic party. I like being outside. I like dancing. I like spending time in community, but my community is Black and gay. So being at a con that was primarily feeling Black and hetero, even though I think cosplay and nerdiness, there's an inherent queerness in that. And I'm not trying to erase the presence of queer folks at the con. That is not what I'm trying to do. And also, if I am not dialed in and tapped into the queer nerd culture, I think that makes sense. This was my first con. I hadn't been to other cons before, right? I'm not making a blanket statement about what was or wasn't there for queer folks at DreamCon. I'm making a blanket statement about, was it easy for me to see where I fit in as a queer person? And the short answer is no, not really. I can see it being one of those things where if I brought a bunch of my friends, my queer, gay, gamer friends, we would have had a ball. But trying to create a safe space internally of a place that's supposed to be a safe space is where I'm like, I'm not sure. I did see a video on TikTok when I came back from the con from a woman who was talking about her experience at an unofficial DreamCon after party where she was basically getting harassed about which bathroom she was using because she's trans. So it was some bullshit. I'll link her video down below. But her experience and her purview is that DreamCon is not an inclusive space for queer people. The experience she had was at an unofficial party. How I took her point was more so about these events create an ecosystem. These events create an economy. DreamCon is a huge event. Supposedly, 40,000 people came down to DreamCon over the weekend. Hi, editing Vanessa. I actually just wanted to correct this fact. I found what I think is a press release about DreamCon for 2025, where they say that they expected over 28,000 attendees to attend DreamCon. It's still a lot of people, but I had heard 40,000 while I was at the event, and I was like, where are people getting this number from? So I literally just Googled. I'll link the press release in the description below. With that being said, you're gonna have people decide they're going to throw parties because there's going to be so many people in town. We're going to throw a party because there's so many people in town from all over the place. Let's host a brunch. In fact, there was a brunch for I think the Black Girl Gamers group that I found out about later that I was like, oh man, I wish I would have known about that before. Maybe I could have gone to it, right? Like, there was so much around DreamCon that was happening that was independent of what RDC World was putting on for DreamCon itself. So these after parties are a part of just the greater economy, the greater culture of DreamCon, even though they're not official DreamCon events. So I interpret her point being like, these are the people who are showing up to DreamCon, and the people who are showing up to DreamCon are bringing their transphobia and homophobia with them. And from that perspective, I'm like, okay, I can see that. I did see that there were some official DreamCon panels that were like mix and mingles. For me, what would be great in the future is if they had like a queer, non-binary mix and mingle event where if you're a Black nerdy person, but you're also a lesbian, you're also trans, non-binary, we can just find each other as a subset of what's going on at DreamCon and creates like another moment for us, because being a queer person and being Black is so interesting, because I feel like there's a lot of times where Black, straight, cis people are requiring people to prioritize Blackness. And I'm talking about America Spaces, my own experience. But the problem with that is I'm not Black and then everything else. I am Black and everything at the same time. I am Black, I am a woman, I am a lesbian, all at the same time. It's all happening simultaneously. When you are talking to me, I am filtering what you're saying through my experience in this body, in this world. So that's why I'm like, DreamCon is cool. Being a Black person, it's cool seeing all of the nerdiness around me and all the cosplay. Being around all of that was great. And I also was like, I could do without the men. And that's not the point, right? DreamCon is supposed to be inclusive. It includes men, I guess. But I'm like, I love all this, no men. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, let's do this again. No men. And men-centered ideas. Men-centered things. Men-centered whatever. The culture at times did feel a little bro-y, nerdy. And I think that is more, again, a reflection of how tapped in I am to the culture. I would not say I'm super tapped in all the time. I try to be. I'm on TikTok all the time, but I'm in my 30s. I'm lesbian. The things that I'm paying attention to online, might skew a little bit different. I wanted to include that creator's perspective specifically in this video because it's one that I could not have. I'm cis, right? So how I interact with the world, and especially with a world like DreamCon as a cis person, is going to be different than her experience as a trans person. And I myself got the feeling that the other intersections of being Black and being part of the Black community as a weeb, nerd, whatever, might have been overlooked by the very nature of who started the con. And so I do think there is room to push the boundaries more at DreamCon, to push the inclusivity harder at DreamCon. I would love more panels and more conversations around queerness and gender identity and being a gaming content creator, pushing the boundaries of queerness and gender identity with conversations around cosplay. In fact, I do think that I saw a panel about that. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so when I type in gender into the DreamCon app, there are 2 panels that come up. One of them being the one that I attended, and the other one being gender bending while Black. And the description of this one is interesting. Way too often in the cosplay community, we are ostracized for cosplaying characters who don't match our skin tone. It's rarely spoken about the intersectionality that comes with doing that, as well as dressing in the opposite gender. Our friends and family members already look at us crazy for wanting to dress up, but being a Black man and dressing up in a skirt send them to the roof. Join us as we speak on our journey as cosplayers who enjoy both gender bending and crossplay. We will speak on how we got started, why we do it, and how to overcome the haters that come along with it. When I search for panels that include the word women, there are 3 panels that come up: Misogynoir and Multiverses, a Black girl's guide to fandom culture; Black Women Game 2, and get back in the kitchen and cook these MFs. That same panel that I already went to. And then when I type in queer, it's one panel, right? So, you know, it's one of those things where like, yeah, being a Black queer person, it's not about like every panel I was gonna go to was just about being a lesbian, right? Like that's not what's happening. It's more so about what does the culture at DreamCon facilitate? Does it facilitate inclusivity around those conversations, around the needs of people who fall into the LGBTQIA rainbow umbrella? And I don't know if I agree that DreamCon was that. And I am sitting in a place where I hope that maybe if we continue to talk about it, that we can push DreamCon to be inclusive of that as well, because that's part of Black culture. Queer and trans culture is Black culture. And I do feel like more could be done for inclusivity and a sense of belonging in that realm. And it does beg the question where I'm like, okay, is this not the space for that? But I think what happens for me is like, I loved being around all those Black people. I loved being around all the creativity and the conversations that come with being in that space with all those creative Black people. I loved that. And I do not feel like there was a lot of breathing room and space for my queerness to also shine through. I think cons as a concept, like I didn't think that it was a space where I belonged. And in fact, when the Sims team asked if I wanted to go to DreamCon, at first, I was not sure. I was like, I am not an anime fan. I do not knock anime at all. I just have never gotten into anime before. I am open. If you guys have recommendations for anime, go ahead and drop them in the comments below. So off the rip, I was concerned that I'm not sure if I am the target demographic. I'm not sure if I belong there. And I definitely didn't want to contribute to a sense of like outsiders coming in and taking over an event that is sacred for Black weebs, right? Like I wasn't trying to contribute to that. But then I also was like, girl, what you mean? You gonna say no to the Sims asking you to come do Sim stuff at DreamCon? Like, give me a break. Figure it out. And that's what I decided to do. I hopped my ass on a plane, arrived at the hotel, got my free Sim swag, and took my butt to DreamCon. And yes, I will be talking about a giveaway that I will be doing for one of the things that I got as far as my swag. So just make sure you watch the whole video so you can enter if you're interested. And also, hi, welcome to my channel, vstreetlove. I'm Vanessa, my pronouns are she, her. And on this channel, I typically make silly Sims videos. But today I wanted to talk about my experience going to DreamCon and being sponsored by The Sims and what I recommend DreamCon for other people. And that's what this video is about. I think overall, my experience at DreamCon was positive. My personal experience was positive. But I also think that was informed by the fact that I had never been to a con before, and I definitely hadn't been to a con that was dedicated to Black people before. DreamCon was fun to be around Black cosplayers, Black creative people, Black content creators who were all just there on a vibe. Like I didn't catch any weirdness. I didn't catch any like exclusionary feeling that I was concerned about in going to DreamCon. I was like, okay, like even cosplaying. Like when I think of cosplaying, I usually think of people who are super passionate about anime fan bases who dress up as those characters. And I think that is like the crux of what cosplaying was at some point. But when I arrived at DreamCon and I started seeing familiar characters, I saw Barbie, I saw Scooby-Doo, I saw the Powerpuff Girls, I saw not one, but two different Garnets. And if you know me, you know I recently watched all of Steven Universe and I became obsessed and I dressed up as Garnet for Halloween. Being at DreamCon is when it clicked for me that I was like, oh, cosplay is just, you get to play Halloween every day of your favorite characters? Oh, I might be into this. And I do not want to disparage cosplaying culture at all. If it's like taboo to try to compare it to Halloween all the time, I'm so sorry. It's what made it click for me. Because watching everybody dress up at DreamCon, and especially all these Black people, I don't know, it just did something to my spirit. And not to objectify certain people, but there was a lot of ass. There was a lot of ass and a lot of titty at DreamCon. And I was like, wow, this place is great. So I didn't take any photos of any women who were more scantily clad, but I was enjoying. I was enjoying just, you know, from afar, like, yes, I can do DreamCon. So that alone, like, really opened my eyes and has honestly inspired me to go to other conventions. So if you end up liking this video and you want to see me go to other cons, let me know, because I'm happy to make more videos about it. And another thing that I thought was cool by the nature of this convention were the panels. There were panels on being a Black woman in gaming, Black femme in gaming, what it's like to be neurodivergent and try to be a gaming content creator. There were different content creator panels. There were also different panels if you're interested in anime culture. There was also like a fight training panel. Hold on. It was called Fight Like a Champion, FWC Action Choreography for Film Workshop. There was a lot of fighting that was happening at DreamCon that I noticed. And it wasn't bad fighting. I know that there's been rumors on Twitter and elsewhere about like actual fights that were happening. I saw with my own eyes almost like just choreographed play fighting, if you will. Again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful of what it was, but to me, it leaned more on the shenanigan side of things versus actual problem side of things. And it was funny. I also loved walking around the convention center, and every now and then I would either pass a person who was just playing music, which was dope, or pass a room that seemed lit. Didn't know what was going on. It just seemed lit. There was a lot going on at this convention, which will tie into my first feeling about DreamCon as a first-time con visitor. I was overwhelmed. I didn't know what to expect. Being sponsored to go to this trip, a lot of the things with registration and whatnot were taken care of for me. But that also meant that I wasn't an active participant in getting the details about, signing up for different panels or anything like that. So some panels, there were RSVPs required. And I also didn't get the memo that there was an app. DreamCon has an app where you can kind of build your schedule of what panels and events interest you, and you can add it to your agenda. I didn't know about that until the day I landed. So I think that kind of affected my experience because I was just kind of like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know there were options to do things. And when I tried to go to the DreamCon website, I wasn't clear on what there was to do. And I'm realizing now part of that is because, you need to put your information in with your registration, and then they'll tell you what's going on. But because that was handled for me, I didn't really know what was going on until I got there. And by the time that I got there, I was making crazy decisions. For example, I went to a panel that was about being neurodivergent in gaming and being a content creator and what some of our challenges as neurodivergent people are. Full disclosure, I have not been formally diagnosed with anything in particular. I relate to people who say that they experience ADHD or autism. I actually went and formally tried to get a formal diagnosis for ADHD. According to the psychologist I spoke to, she said, based on what you're saying, it sounds like you could have ADHD. And I took that to mean that I was leading the witness. And so therefore, I just never followed up on that. I was like, I'm not sure if this doctor knows what they're talking about. So there's that. Anyway, at the same time as that panel, there was a sing-along panel. I'm going to read the description. Because when I saw the panel description, I just assumed that we were going to have like serious talks about singing. Okay, the panel was called I Just Can't Wait to Sing Disney and Broadway Musicals Too. Join the lively Disney Tabernacle Choir for a fun and interactive sing-along panel that combines beloved Disney classics with favorite Broadway tunes. So, I clearly didn't read this properly because I saw the words panel and I was like, so we're going to be sitting there and talking about Broadway songs, or are we going to be singing? And then I saw a video where people were getting their whole life singing along to Satisfied from Hamilton. And I realized right then that I was like, I may have gone to not the panel I needed to be at for the day. So the range of panels and the range of things to do at DreamCon was expansive. One of the things that I'm really sad that I did not get to see in real time was the Uno tournament. There was supposed to be Uno, dominoes, and spades, but I would love to have watched that. I just was kind of like between going to different things because, like I said, I was sponsored. So there were a few times where I had to be certain places to be with the Sims team to either make content or be a part of different activations. So the Sims team hosted a live stream event called Hotties Play The Sims. If you missed that live stream, it is still on their YouTube channel. They had Megan Thee Stallion and Quinn Blackwell as guests playing The Sims. Ebonics was the one who was kind of like making sure that everyone stayed on track with the game, but it was really cute to watch. But I got to watch that in person. Like, one of my required things to do was to be in the room with Megan Thee Stallion and watch her play The Sims.
That's your neck.
Just like, oh my goodness, y'all. I literally, seriously, I can't. I can't. Now, they played The Sims like on a stage and like we watched from off stage. That being said, I was like 10 feet away from this woman, okay? But there was a point where we took a group photo. The Sims took a group photo. I don't know if they ended up posting it or not. But in order to take the group photo, I had to go on that stage. And Megan Thee Stallion had gone off stage for a moment. And so when she was coming back on stage, as she was walking up the stairs, she kind of was like, hi. And I was like, hi. And I don't know if she said that just to be nice or if I was just like, staring at her while she was off stage. She probably was like, hi, hello, close your mouth. And so yeah, we took a group photo and it was lit. It was so lit. I literally was like, oh my gosh, this is so cute. It was also so random. I'm like, Megan Thee Stallion is playing The Sims and I'm just here because. Now being at that event, I did get to meet the other Sims creators who were invited by the Sims team. So I feel like a few of y'all's faves. I got to meet Ebonics. I met X Mira Mira. I re-met Spring Sims. I had actually already met Spring Sims this year. Flex. I met Nard Villain. I met a creator named Christology and Sierra Tonin. And I also met some of the Sims team in person. I got to meet Mercy in person, Anastasia in person. It just was like, my heart. I was on cloud 9. And I just was so excited to meet other Simmers and other Sims content creators and the Sims team. And also DreamCon, surprisingly to me, was also a space where there just were other Simmers who were there. There were people who were cosplaying as Sims. They just were walking around with their Sims plumb bob. I walked past people randomly and they'd be like, Soul! And I'd be like, Soul! Like, I was like, wow, this is a great place. I could just nerd out about The Sims. Yeah, I was surprised to see so many people with plumb bobs. It really warmed my heart because again, I'm in a space for Black gamers and people love to say that Simmers are not real gamers. I have never been in a place where I was surrounded by other Black people who love The Sims this hard. Between the Simmers that I met, the Sims team who's actually passionate about the game, and other people who were at DreamCon cosplaying as Sims, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it right now because I've loved The Sims for so long and I've never been around people who want to geek out so hard about the game. It did something to me spiritually. Like, I just love this so much and it was so cool to be around other people who love this so much. And that is one thing I will say about DreamCon, and this could be true of other cons as well, that it was so cool to be around other people who are just all in and super hype over what they're fans about. The cosplay was iconic. There were so many people who were cosplaying as characters who I don't even know. I just knew that they looked good. And I can only imagine what that did for other people who were fans and who actually knew who those people were cosplaying. Being in a space with people who love what you love is just, you need to do that at least once in your life. So let me also go over what my day-to-day itinerary was specifically. So day 1, Friday, I fly into Houston. When I get to the airport, I see that there's a sign welcoming people to DreamCon at the airport, which I was like, well, that's lit. I know I'm in the right place. I get my Uber to the hotel. I stayed at the Laura Hotel, which was a nice boutique hotel right down the street from the convention center. Like, from my hotel room, I could see the convention center. When I got to the hotel, I did take a quick little video, so I can insert that now. Okay, so this is the bathroom. This is the standing shower. And then we have a whole separate room for le toilette, and it has its own artwork, okay? And then, hi! I'm here. I finally am able to check in. Gotta say, my flight was terrifying. So I'm happy to be safe on the ground in this nice hotel. And then look at this. Look how pretty. There's like a couch and a table if I want to do some work. And then this is where I'm going to sleep. But look at this. This is so pretty. It is so nice in here. And then it's like I've got a corner room. So I've got like windows all to the side and I can see all out. And it's so bright and gorgeous in here. I feel like, I'm so excited. And the Sims team gave me some freebies. I got a plumb bob at the YouTube event that I went to back in February, and I almost packed that to bring with me just in case the Sims team didn't have plumb bobs. I was hoping that maybe they had extras from that event or something. I was so precious about the plumb bob that I got back in February. I was like, if something happens to this during transport, I will never forgive myself. So I left it home, hoping, dreaming, praying that the Sims team had my back on this one and they were gonna give me a plumb bob. So then when I got to the hotel, one of the freebies that I got was it lights up. Look at this. Ah! So I was so excited to get this because I was like, okay, thank God. I took a risk by not bringing my plumb bob, but also this one is cooler than the one that I had because the one that I had, it does not light up. And it has like a nice like velvet headband. It's rechargeable. It comes with like a cord so you can recharge it. And you can see the little button right here, which turns it on and off. So this lit. Another freebie that I got, this desk mat. The quality in person is so good. You can see that it's pretty thick in my opinion. And there's like a rubber backing. It's like a mouse pad. It's like a big mouse pad because I guess that's what desk mats are. I'm new to this, okay? They also gave me these little pins, a little freezer bunny pin and a simoleon pin. I got these temporary tattoos and they gifted me a Sims 25 water bottle, which now that I bring it up, they actually gifted me this one. I already have this one. So if you're interested in winning this water bottle, never been used, and one of the sheets of the temporary tattoos, this is one giveaway. Comment down below the word giveaway, your Instagram username. And if you don't have Instagram, make sure you're in my Discord. And you can just say, oh, I'm in your Discord. My username is blah, blah, blah. And include your tip for first-time visitors of a con. And if you've never been to a con, include what you think you'd love most about going to a con. So after getting to the hotel, getting my freebies and getting settled, I did a quick change and I walked over to the convention center. Okay, I'm walking over to the convention center. I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna be doing when I get there, but I do have my plum bob provided by the Sims team. And I guess I'll be on theme because there is cosplay happening. And the best thing about a plum bob is it doesn't matter what you wear, because Plum Bob makes it clear that you're a Sim. DreamCon this year in 2025 took place at the George R. Brown Convention Center in Houston, Texas. Getting in was pretty easy. I had a small bag that they checked, and they also saw my badge. So if you're gonna do anything at DreamCon, just make sure you're wearing your badge. And yeah, I just walked around. I took it all in. That's when I started getting in my feel, seeing all the black folks in cosplay, because I was like, I ain't never seen this before. I am impressed. After walking around, I missed the first panel that I really wanted to be at just because of the way that my flight got into my hotel and I wasn't ready to go over to the convention center yet. It was a larger panel about black women in gaming. I'm sad to have missed that. So basically I walked around, I took pictures of people, but after walking around the exhibit hall for a second, I went to grab some food. Then I had to go meet up with the Sims team for the Hotties Play the Sims live stream. After that, we kind of milled around because Megan Thee Stallion did her big panel with DreamCon. So I went to that and I sat in the creators section. They have like a separate section off to the side for creators. And that's where she announced that she's coming out with her new anime.
Y'all, okay, I'm about to give y'all the exclusive. Y'all already knew this. We ready? Y'all already knew this, but I'm about to come out with my own anime.
So I am going to be checking that out because that'll be on Amazon Prime. And so I'm excited to see that. And after that, I had dinner with Nardvillain and Spring Sims. And at that dinner, you know, people were friendly. There was a woman who introduced herself to us as a comic book writer. So then for day 2, that's when I did my Eliza Pancakes cosplay. If for some reason you are watching this video and you're not familiar with The Sims, Eliza Pancakes is one of the base game townies that comes in The Sims 4. Basically an iconic character from The Sims 4. After I got dressed, I was a little late to the panel, Get Back in the Kitchen and Cook These MFs, a call to action for women/non-binary in gaming. I wish I knew who the presenter was. Because I got there late, I didn't get her name, but that was a great panel.
Sims girlies, let me get a woo.
Woo!
Exactly. You know how crazy it gets. You know how crazy it gets. That just goes to show you how much talent, untapped talent we have and things that we can contribute to this game. Because guys, the fact of the matter is, they see that. They know, they see how much we bring to this market. They see how much culturally the impact that we have. If we don't use it for good, they will exploit us. We will be exploited. You see it all the time. We see it in every industry. Our creativity, our ideas, our culture gets exploited because we aren't a part of the decision-making process. Representation is good. Representation is literally the start.
After that panel, I ended up going to the YouTube Creator Lounge because YouTube had a room where it was basically like a little party room where they were giving stuff away. Got my freebies. Then I went to the panel, Breaking the Mold, Neurodivergent Streamers Redefining the Game. And that's what I was telling you was at the same time as the sing-along panel. I made the decision I made. And the panel that I went to was good. Like, it was informative to hear other content creators' challenges. especially being neurodivergent. I even asked a question and shared a tip about being a content creator while I was in that panel. So it was good. I enjoyed it. While I was in that panel, Spring Sims and Nard Villain showed up. So then we went and I think we grabbed some food or something. We went to the food hall to grab some snacks. They were getting stopped every 5 seconds for a photo, which I thought was so cool just to see. I was like, oh, like simmers, you know, my heart. After that panel, we basically went to meet up with the Sims team because we needed to make some content. So we filmed some TikToks and stuff. We took a bunch of photos and videos in front of the setup that the Sims had. The Sims had this cool whole Sim Your Summer background. When I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh. I took a picture next to the Grim Reaper cutout. I was so impressed. So then after taking the photos, taking their videos, hanging out with the Sims team for a second, then from there, I think we went to grab some food, me, Spring Sims, and our villain. We kind of went to grab a snack, and then we went back to the YouTube Creator Lounge because they were having a happy hour in there. While we were in there, I was getting it. They had a DJ, and they started playing like line dancing songs, so I was doing the electric slide. So then after the YouTube happy hour, there was the charity basketball game. Me, Spring Sims, and Nard Villain took an Uber over to Houston University's, I guess, arena where there was like a full basketball game going on. I thought that it was going to be like a pickup game, like, oh, a couple friends, you know, playing basketball real quick and you'd watch them. No, that is not what that was. And apparently that was a separate ticketed event. So if you were interested in going to the basketball game, you had to pay for a separate ticket outside of registration. But again, because I was sponsored, that was one of the things that the team took care of for me. So we basically just had to put our names on a list. And that was fun. I saw on TikTok later that somebody started the wave while at the basketball game. Oh, I'm so sad that I missed that. I was late to the game. I am not a huge sports person. So normally I would be like, basketball, nah. But I was like, when did Houston do what the Houstonians do? So I was like, let's go to the basketball game. And it actually was fun. And then after the basketball game, went back to the hotel to like rest for a little bit before going to the after party. So I went to the DreamCon official after party. I went with Nard Villain and Spring Sims. We got there, we were dancing. I got myself a drink. It was fun. And then we realized that there was a separate little area, I guess, for either premium badge holders or creators. Because once again, my creator badge got me into like a little separate side section where I ran into some people from the Sims team and the DJ was DJing. We were partying, we were dancing, we were having a good time. Also then, while the DJ was doing the DJ thing, there were screens behind the DJ that just for whatever reason started playing a Sims commercial, more or less. Somebody must have cut together like a little ad or something for the Hotties Play the Sims live stream, but it was showing all these Sims partying, dancing, hanging out. And the way that it was cut, it felt like no matter what song the DJ was playing, the Sims were on beat to the song. And then on top of that, while we were there, the Sims team gave out a bunch more of these headbands to people. So then in the dark, you know, with the kind of like neon lighting that was happening, there were several people who had a Sims headband. And it just felt like a Sims after party takeover. It was so fun. There were rumors that Megan Thee Stallion was supposed to show up. I don't know who started those rumors. Actually, the DJ definitely didn't help. There was 2 different DJs for the after party. The first DJ, I was having the time of my life. That first DJ was playing everything from Hannah Montana to Panic at the Disco to Kendrick Lamar. Like, we were getting the full range of what it is to be a Black nerdy person. The second DJ was teasing Megan Thee Stallion was going to be there, and I, in my opinion, could not read the vibes of the room. I was not happy with the second DJ. I can be very DJ critical. If a DJ performs and plays music in such a way that they make me think I could be a DJ, I don't think they're being a good DJ. I need someone who knows how to transition from song to song, bleed songs into each other that I would not expect to go together, and then keep the vibes high. Keep me turned all the way up. And if you're going to bring me down, you strategically bring me down to ramp me back up again. Going back and forth between 2 different vibes of songs, playing songs I already heard, playing songs too long, cutting off songs before they get good. DJ no-nos for me. And so that second DJ was pissing me off. And he was teasing that Megan Thee Stallion was coming. Megan Thee Stallion never came. So then after that, went back to the hotel, took the nicest shower I've taken in a long time because my water pressure in my apartment is like terrible. So the water pressure in the hotel was great. And then went to bed, got up, and then got back in an Uber, back to the airport, back to New York. One of the things that I didn't talk about that I do want to bring up now, I guess, is that I did go to the exhibit hall and I did spend money. So the exhibit hall in and of itself was lit. It was a movie. It was a good time in there. They had a DJ in there. They had a couple DJs in there, actually. So I was finding myself dancing all of the time. And aside from the party that was the exhibit hall, there was stuff to buy. So like I said, this was my first con. So let me show you the things that I bought. First thing I bought, stickers. Stickers. I got myself some stickers. I think these two stickers really show my age. Okay, but the sticker game, I love me some stickers. I went to another table. So remember, on the first day of me being at the con, when I had dinner with Spring Sims and Nard Villain, there was a woman who introduced herself as a comic book creator. So I got her comic books. I'm really excited. I actually, you know what made me decide to buy it was this cover. This cover, iconic. So yeah, so I got some comic books. I'm excited to read these. Everything is in the plastic because I was like, oh, I'm gonna make a video. Let me keep everything neat. So I'm excited to get everything out of the plastic. But at that same table where I got the comic books, I got other things as well. So I got more stickers. I do find it funny talking about being a queer person, and like the queer coded Powerpuff Girl is always considered to be Buttercup. But growing up, I identified with Bubbles. I thought Bubbles was great. I loved me some Bubbles. And I also got some artwork. So I got artwork of the Muses, because I love the Muses. I love Hercules. I actually saw the sticker and then I saw the artwork. And so I still ended up getting both. But I was like, if I go home without this, I'm gonna be big mad. And then I saw this. So the thing is, I don't listen to her's music, but this spoke to me on a spiritual level. I just think that she looks so good. Just something about this whole thing was just, I was like, ooh, it's speaking to me on a magical, sexy, I wanted it. So I got this as well. I'm excited to put this up. I might put this up in like the background here. This might be getting a little bit of a makeover so I can put up my new artwork. And then lastly, I got this DreamCon exclusive design for the Megan Thee Stallion t-shirt. They said it was DreamCon exclusive. I don't know. It could have been marketing, but Megan had a booth and I bought a t-shirt because I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for merch. I love merch. My personal experience with me interacting with DreamCon through the lens of being a sponsored creator with The Sims is I think I was trying to be on my best behavior because on some level I felt like I was representing The Sims, which meant that any sort of tomfoolery and debauchery that I may have been up to, I basically resigned myself to not doing that. I didn't go to any of the unofficial after parties because I was essentially going by myself to this convention. And so I was letting it ride. I was like, hey, if I have a good time here, then I know I'll be back. I don't need to do everything on this first time. But then at the same time, I'm like, oh, but this is like my first time there. I should have done all the things. Instead, I felt myself pulling back a little bit. But I think that was a little bit of just anxiety, overwhelm, just nervousness, and also just like excitement. There was a level of just like bliss of me just walking around like, wow, this is just really cool. Which, yeah, cat's out of the bag. I had a good enough time that I would go back. I just think that if you are a Black creative, a Black gamer nerd, an anime fan, a comic book fan, you need to get to DreamCon. I don't think I fully took advantage of the DreamCon experience. So I do feel like I want to go again, at least for that alone. I'm also interested in going to BlurredCon, which is taking place next March. And I think it's a similar thing. It's like a Black con. So I want to go to BlurredCon. I may end up going to other cons here as well. Like I might go to New York Comic Con and maybe other events if I find them, right? Just because now I'm like, oh, I've been opened up to a whole new world. So I want to check it out. But yeah, I do think that DreamCon maybe has work to do as far as how it continues to integrate queer and trans folks into the agenda and the conversation around celebrating Black nerd culture, because Black nerd culture includes queer folks and trans folks. Let me know in the comments below what your experience was with DreamCon, if you attended, what maybe some questions you had about DreamCon are, and hopefully I or someone else in the comments can answer them for you. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of my Silly Sims videos, please subscribe to my channel, like and share this video, and turn on the post notifications so you know when my next video goes up. I go live on this channel as well, weekly, playing Sims, so you're gonna wanna be subscribed for that. And don't worry, there's more that you can enjoy from my channel. Stick around, get to know me, and until next time, y'all, dag dag!